Welcome to another TechHelp Quick Queries video brought to you by AccessLearningZone.com. I'm your instructor, Richard Rost. We got some news about what's coming to Microsoft Access in 2026, hopefully very soon. Some features like the wide monitor support, zooming in on forms, so we'll talk about that today. Plus your answers to YouTube questions. We'll talk about integrating Access with AI, making an AI agent for it. Your comments and thoughts on that. And normally I try to get these quick queries videos out on Fridays, but I got a little busy yesterday, didn't get a chance to do it. So today we've got a special weekend edition just for you. It's my best TV announcer voice. Tell her what she's won, Johnny. All right, enough horsing around. Let's get to it. First up today, I've gotten a couple emails from different people about this, but one came from Jack, one of my platinum members in Beaumont, Texas, saying, what's going on with these new features that Microsoft said would be coming for Access soon, like large monitor support and form zooming? They've been saying it's been coming soon since like August, and it's now November. In fact, Carl over at Access Forever just posted yesterday about Microsoft's plans for Access at the German AEK27 conference. They had the Access team, including Linda Cannon, the project manager for Access, and they went through the priorities. Through March of 2026, most of the team's efforts continue to go into ongoing maintenance type stuff, bug fixes, security patches, compliance work, the things that keep Access stable and secure. Beyond that, their main focus is on large monitor support, which includes removing the old 22-inch display limitation. That's one thing that really ticks me off, too, because I got a huge monitor on my desk, and I hate not being able to make large databases with, forms that open up across the whole thing. You got to keep them to a certain width, and you can't, both positioning and width size. One trick you can do is you can make a form with subforms, and you can make those a little bit larger, but that's still not very elegant. They also talked about adding the zoom slider for forms and eventually reports. Yeah, you can kind of zoom in and out now at a percentage level with reports, but an actual slider would be nice. But they're still developing that stuff. Here's a whole bunch of, read this article. I'll put a link to it down below. Git integration is coming. And Carl summed it up pretty well. Access is still being maintained and improved, even if progress feels slow. Some of these features have been long overdue, but it's encouraging to finally see it all coming together. Carl also noted that Microsoft has stopped giving firm release dates for new Access features, and the team learned the hard way that unexpected maintenance work can derail schedules. So they're holding off on specific promises to avoid disappointing users. Now, I completely get it. I posted my thoughts in my captain's log yesterday. I've been building software for 30 years, and I know how priorities can shift. Bug fixes for existing software that people are using have to take precedence over adding shiny new features. And I also understand not giving dates. I'm the worst person in the world when it comes to dates. I mean, hey, today is Friday's quick query, and it's now Saturday that I'm recording it. So stuff happens, I used to put release schedules on my website years ago. I'd say, well, developer 15 will be done by this date, or Excel expert 3 will be out by this date. And I stopped doing that because I suck at maintaining schedules. Life happens. I'm a one-man band. I wish I had a team of people to help me develop my lessons and stuff, but things come up. Website crashes, unexpected floods of customer service emails. My dog needs a trip to the vet. I get a transporter pad full of tribbles unexpectedly, that kind of stuff. So I stopped promising specific production dates years ago. I get what I can get done when I can get it done. Now, should that same standard be held to a large corporation like Microsoft? Well, that's for you to decide. What frustrates me isn't the pace at which Microsoft is releasing new features. What frustrates me is that Microsoft doesn't seem to realize what an amazing product they have in Access. With more investment and more vision, Access could be a powerhouse platform for small businesses and developers. But no, it is literally the red-headed stepchild of the Microsoft Office family. But with that said, this update does show that Microsoft is still actively supporting Access, maintaining it, adding new features when possible, and keeping it alive, which is great. They might not be moving at warp speed, but they're still moving forward. And for those of us who work with Access on a daily basis, that is awesome news. So thank you, Carl, for the update. I'll put a link to Carl's article down below as well. Go give it a read, and make sure you sign up for Access Forever's website, or our website, for their mailing list too. I get a lot of my news from them. They release a lot of good stuff, so check them out. A couple weeks ago, I posted a question on social media asking what you would think about having Microsoft Access act as an AI agent that can actually do things. I've done many videos so far on how you can use AI to ask questions of your Access database, and how to have it write SQL and some basic VBA and stuff like that. But what about if you could actually have your Access database do stuff, right? What if you could say to it, add a follow-up for me to call John Smith next Thursday, and it would just do it, right? It would know to look up John Smith's record, do a search behind the scenes, find John Smith. Obviously, if there's multiple John Smiths, it would have to say, hey, you got 4 John Smiths. But assuming it could find the right customer, then it could create the contact record for you, put the data in and all that stuff based on your commands. And so far, by and large, the feedback has been mostly positive. A couple of people have dissented, like Michael here, who said he's worried about the AI bubble. The AI companies aren't making money after 5 years and billions of investment. Well, that's definitely true. And that the public is becoming okay with crappy production. Of course, production quality is getting better all the time with AI stuff. I'm starting to see videos that you can't tell. But remember when AI videos first started coming out? First it was pictures, right? Pictures were always a little bit messed up. They'd have extra fingers, or something wasn't right with, the legs or the eyes or whatever. And then that got really good. Like, pictures are pretty good now. Videos in that same thing where, sometimes the physics are just slightly off or the shadowing is just wrong, but it's getting better. It's getting scary good. And, giving your username and password to an AI agent, what could go wrong? I don't know. I've seen too many movies to possibly question what could go wrong. Matt brings up a good idea, especially if it's a local agent. There's a local version of ChatGPT you can install. I still have yet to do it. I know I talked about it a month or two ago. I've been busy. But there's a version you can actually install and run on your machine. You need a fairly beefy machine to do it, but this way, at least all your data and stuff doesn't have to be up in the cloud. So that'll definitely be interesting to see if we can get that to work. Lots of positive comments, too, on YouTube. I also post this stuff on YouTube. Emmanuel says that tools like Airtable are already performing AI automations. I haven't used Airtable in a while. I played with it a little bit, but I didn't get into this at all. Says the AI should be used for source code only. Well, yeah, I mean, it's getting to the point where agents are starting to become much more popular. You're starting to see it a lot, where agents will actually do things for you instead of just answering questions. You can say, do this, and it'll go out and do it. It all depends on how much power you give it. Now, giving it power to do things like create a record in a database isn't that big of a deal. Now, giving it the power to blanket delete a whole bunch of records, that could have negative consequences. So always make sure you back stuff up, right? Back up, back up, back up. That's what I always say. All right, got to pull this trusty slide out every now and then, right? As long as you got good backups, you shouldn't have to worry too much about the AI messing things up. But you never know. No comments on my Reddit group. Those of you who are on Reddit, hook it up, right? Join my Access Learning Zone subreddit, and you can be the first to comment. I just started this a little while ago, so it's brand new. The Access Learning Zone discussion group. Louise says it should be in the core of Access. Build solutions with AI access and write complex codes. Yeah, it's in Excel. It's in Word. It's not in Access. Redheaded stepchild. Marina says, please do it. I can't wait to talk to Access. It can't wait to talk to you too, Marina. It's waiting. we just gotta let it loose. No love over on Twitter. Yes, I still call it Twitter. I refuse to call it X. Looks like lots of people have seen it on LinkedIn. No comments and a few thumbs up, so that's not bad. Oh, okay, that was my personal account. I also posted it in my Access Learning Zone LinkedIn group, too, that I started. And we got some, let's see what's down here. Oh, here we go. Giorgio says he's studying. I think you mean to say you're studying how to develop tokenization and build vector data embeddings. That's pretty cool stuff. Tokenization, basically, the way AI works is it breaks words into tokens, basically subwords, right? And embeddings are like numerical vectors. It's how AI, large language models work. It's not actually thinking. It's how this mesh network comes together to basically guess what word comes next. It's complicated. I've watched a lot of videos on this myself on how AI actually works. It's some pretty cool stuff. More than I'm going to get into. I'm fascinated by it under the scenes, but it's a lot of math. That's too much math for me. I like math. I'm good at math, but it just hurts my brain. Back over on YouTube with a short. I've been posting shorts to see if anyone wants shorts. Most of my stuff doesn't work well in short format, but I try these conversation starters as shorts, and we'll see. I get some comments on these. Shelly? I'm going to say Shelly. To help me avoid spending money on several different programs. I mean, that's basically what we're doing. Also learning how to do this stuff as we go is awesome. You're still going to spend money with Access as an AI agent, unless you run it local, which I still haven't covered yet. But if you're using the OpenAI service, you're going to pay, it's usually a couple of fractions of a penny per AI call, but it can add up. But it's not that bad. I use it all the time, and I pay like $20 a month, so it's not that bad. Ron says, yeah, database smart enough to create forms reports and manipulate its own data using AI would be an exciting project. Yep, absolutely. Can I do a full season like I did with the fitness database? Maybe. We'll see how it's all about the views. The free videos that I do as TechHelp videos are all about the views. If people like it and I get a lot of views, I'll keep doing them. If not, and there are people interested in a paid service, then I'll do it as a paid seminar or something like, a series on my website about it. But we'll see. I like to put a few free ones out there to see who's interested, and then we'll take it from there. Dingus Battis says, I'm old school, leave the AI in the test labs. I don't want it in the real world. The genie is out of the bottle. So it's out there. It's like, the people who said I'm not interested in this newfangled electricity. I like my oil lamp. Or, what's with this computer thing? I like my typewriter. So it's evolution, it's change. It's one of those things where it's like get on the train or get off the tracks. Technoman fan said, perhaps this could help input data since we don't have much admin support. Yeah, I use AI. The one thing that I use it for the most is writing correspondence, where I can just kind of like word soup. I can just go stream of consciousness and say, okay, I want to write about this. I want to talk about this topic, this topic, this topic. All right, now put that all together for me in a coherent couple of paragraphs. And it will take all of my seemingly random thoughts and put them together in something that's a little more readable. So it's definitely good about that. I don't really rely on AI at all to think for me, but I do rely on it to organize my thoughts, where I give it a whole bunch of information, and now, okay, I want to cover this, and this. Make me an outline that my students won't get lost if I teach this in the random way that I usually teach. And no comments over on TikTok. Same thing with TikTok with shorts, is that the short video format just doesn't really work for what I'm doing. I need at least 10 minutes to talk about anything worthwhile. TikTok and YouTube shorts are for people who have short attention spans, like me most of the time. So that's about all the comments I've gotten so far. Yes, I do plan on doing something with this in the near future. I got a lot of other projects I want to work on first. So this is just kind of like a feeler to see who's interested in what. I got so many other projects I want to do first, like getting some access to SQL integration started. So that's coming up very soon here. Like setting up a local SQL server. It's probably the number one topic that people request. But tell me what you think down below. Do you like these little conversation starters that I do, where I put a question out there and I go over your feedback and stuff like that? Does this interest anybody? You want to see this? So if so, let me know. If not, if you think it's a waste of time, put that down below too. I'd like to know what your thoughts are. Like I said, the quick queries are all about what you guys have to say. So I really do care what you guys have to say. Moving on, in Quick Query 62, I mentioned that if you end your ID field with ID, then Access will automatically know that it can index it. Because you should make sure that your foreign keys are all indexed, and the way that Access knows it's a foreign key is by having the word index on it. And Donald reminded me that there's a setting in Access under Backstage Options, Object Designers, where you can specify what the suffixes are for your key fields. I totally forgot about this setting. It's one of those things where if you don't use it, you forget about it, right? I think I taught about this one time in a beginner lesson decades ago. Literally decades ago. I can say that now. Decades ago. But I always use ID. I don't use any other suffix. So here they are. ID, key, code, num. You can actually add your own in there if you like to. Kevin Yip also said that it'll generate indices for you in some cases, even if the name doesn't contain that stuff, which is true. And over-indexing can be a problem. I have built databases before. Remember, every time you index a field, when you look data up, sort. I said search. Sort or search, indexing speeds that up, right? But adding records and editing records, now Access has to rebuild that index every time. So I've built databases before where I had people constantly on the phones doing data entry and data additions, and they might have run a report on it once a month. So if that's the case, you don't want to index too many fields. So it all depends on the database needs. Next up, got another question in my forums on my website. John says, I need to have a query that can have 32 possible fields. How many fields can one query possibly have? 32 is not a problem. And like Donald chimed in, it can have a maximum of 255 fields. That's the theoretical limit, the maximum number, the actual limit that you can have. You shouldn't need. I've never built a query, or a table for that matter, that needed 255 fields. And I've been doing this a long time. Alex gave the list of Access specifications here if you actually go to Microsoft's site. And they got all this. And I actually have a video I've been planning. I'm going to go over all of the actual limitations and then the practical limitations, right? The number of characters in a table name. Yeah, it's 64. You should never have half that many, right? Number of fields in a table, characters in a field, all these things, right? Table size, 2 gigabyte. You got a 2 gigabyte table, that's getting up there. But, the limits that Access have are set for a reason, for, practical reasons, but there's what you actually will use in a real database. And realistically, you never want to get anywhere near the theoretical maximums. Once you start adding dozens or hundreds of fields, your query is going to slow down. Your forms and reports are going to get messy. And it's usually a sign that your table structure needs some normalization. And if you aren't familiar with normalizing your data, go watch this video. I go over all the details. In John's case, he's building a database, kind of like a genealogy database, but he's building it for pedigree for dogs, and he needs multiple generations of parents, right? And his first thought was just to add fields across one big table, right? Mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, and so on. But the better design is to have one table for dogs and then a junction table that links each dog to its parents. That way you can have as many generations as you want. That's a self-join relationship. And that's a pretty form you got there, Gary. I like that. And you can learn more about self-join relationships in my genealogy video. Even if you're not interested in tracking your own genealogy or any genealogy for that matter, the concepts in this are fantastic. You can use it in a product database. If a product is based on other products, for example, you can use it with customers, with referrals. This person referred these other people who referred those other people who referred these other people. All right, organizational structures, the list is endless of the kind of tree structure that you can create using self-join relationships. There's no reason to have, for some things you got people in a database, right? You don't have to have a separate table for students, customers, teachers, faculty, all that. Just put it all in one person table. Give them all different categories. There's lots of different ways you can store data. If it's all the same kind of thing, keep it all in the same table. All right, let's head over to YouTube comments. Chris says, are there plans to introduce Copilot into Access? Not that I'm aware of. It's not on the roadmap. It's not in any of the official MVP type or, Microsoft forums that I'm in or email lists. So as of right now, we're on our own. So I use OpenAI integration just because it was first. OpenAI had their API available before Microsoft did. So that's the one that I picked. But yeah, it'd be nice if they added it. This is a comment on my Don't Lose Data video. That's not a Microsoft Access video, but it's about data storage in general. In my original video, I mentioned that I had a whole bunch of old CDRs and DVD-Rs that I found in a box in my storage unit that had to be like 20 years old. And I discovered while trying to transfer that stuff to my cloud storage, or to my NAS, my network attached storage, my basically a big external hard drive, that a lot of those discs are unreadable anymore. Now, they used to tell you back in the day that a CD or a DVD would last 100 years. Yeah, that's for factory pressed CDs and DVDs, not the ones you burn yourself. The CDRs, CDRWs, DVD-Rs, the ones you can write to, they use basically an ink dye that the laser just puts little, changes in the ink. And so that's not, that you're lucky to get 10 years out of those, as I have a lot of old discs that are no longer readable. So thank you for sharing your story here, Paris. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but yeah, it's a thing. So if you've got some old CDs that are rewritables or ones you wrote yourself, get those transferred to a hard drive. Now, disk space and cloud storage space is so cheap now. I just put it all on I got a 2 terabyte cloud drive, with Google that I store important stuff in. So yeah, definitely back your stuff up. Feathers McGraw Chicken, I love that username. Talking about common criticisms of Microsoft Access. He says, personally, it's unintuitive and always seem to run into problems with it not telling you what the problem is. Yeah, I think it's just a different way of doing things. I think a lot of people are coming to Access that are used to Excel. And with Excel, there's like no rules. There's no guardrails or guidelines or anything. You just type data anywhere you want. And so people aren't used to having to structure their data properly and to build tables and to set up queries and all that stuff. And so it seems unintuitive until you get used to it. Then it's the most intuitive thing ever, I think. I've been using it for so many years now. It seems like second nature. So I think it's just getting used to a different way of doing things than a lot of people are used to. It's certainly much easier than any other database application that I've used, and I've used a lot of them. I think it's the simplest to use and to set up. It's definitely easier than SQL Server or, any of the older databases. As far as running into problems but not telling you what the problem is, there's a couple of error messages that are like, error 4646. Okay, what does that mean? I get where you're coming from with that. That usually can be solved with a Google search. And I try to make sure that I've got videos on most of those popular error numbers. And if you run into one that you don't, if you type it in into Google and I don't come up with one of my videos, let me know. I'll make a video for it. I think I got all the big ones. But yeah, there's some. It's pretty good with its error messages most of the time. But there are some crazy ones in there too. That's unavoidable. Next up, we got. Oh, hang on. I don't speak Spanish. Hold on one second. I love Google Translate. Let's see. HP Carnus said, I don't know at what point in history Microsoft stopped letting us use DAO instead of ADO and ADOX. I always thought Microsoft had discontinued DAO at version 3.6 and wouldn't provide any more updates. I believe ADOX could handle some tasks better, such as compact. Yeah, ADO and DAO both have their own benefits. DAO, Database Access Objects, DAO is better with working with the data structure internally inside of Access. If you're working with JET or ACCDB files, you want to use DAO. That's my opinion. ADO is better for general database connectivity, talking to other databases. Like if you're going to use SQL Server, use ADO, ActiveX Data Objects. There was a while when Access first came out, DAO was the default. Then they added ADO and made that the default, and everybody had to switch the code over or change their references, which really ticked me off. Then after a couple of years, they reversed that decision and went back to DAO being the default. Why? I don't know. But DAO works best if you're just using Access alone, but you want to learn ADO if you're working with other databases. Would it be nice if they unified everything together? Yeah. Just like SQL, would it be nice if they unified Access and TSQL from SQL Server? Yeah. Are they gonna? Probably not. So you got to learn both of them. That's just how it is. Dingus Battis has an interesting point. He says, if someone like me wants to go from hobby builder to professional, then nitpicking your own work would give you a little bit of appreciation for when a customer asks for changes to something you built for them, which in turn would alter the way you approach the development of a solution for future customers. Even if you don't go pro, it's still something to learn from. Yeah, definitely. One of my biggest pet peeves when I was a consultant, and I read about this on my Advice for Consultants page, is that I would painstakingly take the time to sit down with the client and go over what they needed, discuss everything, mock everything up like in Excel. You've seen me do it in my videos before, right? I make all the fake forms and stuff right in Excel, list of all the fields, the tables, and all that. And clients look at it and go, okay, yeah, they sign off on it. And then you build the database to those specs, and they come back and go, well, this isn't really what we wanted. Yeah, but that's what you agreed to. So I'm happy to rebuild everything, but it's going to be on the clock. I mean, this is your signature right here. Yeah, okay, yeah. But I get what you're saying. That's why, especially for big projects, if you're a consultant, it's very important to get everything in writing and to make sure that everybody's on board with exactly what you're building. Sometimes I've spent more time learning the client's needs than actually developing the software. So that's the tough part. Understanding the business is the tough part. Army Whammer says, can I edit an existing external SQL database server and edit it, add tables to it via Access? Yes. Once you're connected to SQL Server from Access using VBA, you can modify tables, drop tables, add indexes, create views, all that stuff. You can use pass-through queries. There's lots of stuff you can do. That's why I always say if you're outgrowing Access as far as a database goes, not the front end, but like the data needs underneath, you can connect it to SQL Server, and you can do all this with code if you want to. Or you can install SSMS, the SQL Server Management Studio. Yeah, I think it's Studio. And handle it all graphically, which is very similar to what you're used to working with in Access. I've got a new seminar series coming up on SQL Server for installing it locally in your office. I do have one that works with an online version. This one's all about connecting your Access database to an online SQL Server, like one that is hosted by your web provider. I use WinHost for mine. And then you can, upload your data there. And then anybody anywhere in the world can use your Access database because your data is online. And then just give them a copy of your front end. But yes, you can manipulate the data structure, the tables and stuff, add tables, all that stuff from code. Next up is a comment from Apollux, and he's sharing something that he experienced when working with multilingual environments. And I wanted to share this with all of you because I have absolutely zero experience working with multilingual environments. I only speak English. All the other languages that I know are programming languages. Haha. So this is something I've never encountered, and if you want to read his whole comment here, you can pause it. I want to thank you, Apollux, for sharing this with everybody. But basically, he's saying, if you've got a database and you got fields like, let's say your database is initially in Spanish, and you got a field named nombre, right? And then you switch it to English, it can quietly rename some of your fields to name. So again, I've never encountered this, but it's definitely fascinating. I'm surprised that they allow Access to do that. So just everyone out there, be careful if you're working with different versions in different languages. So, all right, next one. This is hilarious. It's a Microsoft Word video that I did a while back about how to remove line breaks and hard returns from Word documents. And I want to share this with you guys because it's funny. So essentially in this video, I show how to use a technique where you do a find and replace. You look for these P characters, right? Caret P. Those are the line breaks. It's when you get like someone sends you something in like an email or a notepad document and you want to get rid of all these hard line breaks so that you get the proper word wrap. And I say just replace the double line break there with any kind of weird character, like in parentheses XXX. Right? That's just any old random set of characters in here that shouldn't normally appear in a document. Do that. And then once that's all done, then you replace that, right? Replace that code with a normal single line break, and then your document ends up like this, like it's supposed to be. Okay, anyways, Johnny Z said, Your XXX example to remove paragraph marks works fine, unless your document is about moonshine, booze in general, or pornography. And I will present that without comment. I got a good kick out of that one. And his profile picture is a puppy, so that's even better. In this video about rich text boxes and why your scroll wheel doesn't work, I teach you how to use a technique where you can basically use send keys to send up and down arrows to scroll up and down the box. And I mentioned in that video that, yeah, there's other ways that are more complicated to do it with API calls. And George commented, he says, that's good, thanks. I solved this with API calls. First, I save the mouse screen position, then I move the mouse up or down, move the up or down arrow of the scroll bar with an API call. I press and release the left key. Like I said in the video, it's a lot more complicated doing it that way with API calls. If it works for you, that's fantastic, George. I love it. Fantastic. I didn't want to go through all that. I've done it before. Years ago, I did something with API calls. Send keys is just easy. It works. It's simple, and I think it gets the job done. But yeah, definitely. Speaking of that, yeah, Lars said that he's reassured that even I don't know how to turn off the unmotivated beeping. Yeah, when you scroll up and down, and it actually just beeps when you're scrolling up and down in a form. No idea how to turn that off. Drives me nuts. If anybody has a way to do it, I'll give you some kind of a prize. I don't know. I'll figure it out. John asks, so when I have a percentage, we use double, right? Because it is a decimal. Well, okay. The whole point of that video is there are two data types. One is called decimal, one is called double. I suggest, unless you're an expert with Access and you know exactly what you're getting yourself into, don't use the decimal data type. It's got all kinds of weird rules with precision, and don't stay away from decimal. Use double. Trust me. Just trust me. Watch that video for more information. There's really only two numeric data types you should be concerned with. Use long integers for integer type numbers that don't have a fractional component. Use doubles if you need a fractional component for like a percentage, right? Don't use decimal. Trust me. Until you get more advanced, stay away from decimal. All right, so that's going to do it for Quick Query 64, folks. Don't forget to check out the Captain's Log, where I post my almost daily thoughts about whatever I happen to be thinking about that day. Stop by my merch store, get your peanuts, your popcorn, your Cracker Jacks, all that kind of stuff. Get your peanuts, get your whatever. T-shirts, mouse pads, all that good stuff. If you said it, you got to forget it, right? All right, that's it for this week, folks. I hope you learned something. Live long and prosper, my friends. Enjoy your weekend. I'll see you next time. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up button right now and give me a like. Also, be sure to subscribe to my channel, which is completely free. And make sure you click that bell icon and select all to receive notifications whenever I post a new video. Do you need help with your Microsoft Access project? Whether you need a tutor, a consultant, or a developer to build something for you, check out my Access Developer Network. It's a directory I put together personally of Access experts who can help with your project. Visit my website to learn more. Any links or other resources that I mentioned in the video can be found in the description text below the video. Just click on that Show More link right there. YouTube's pretty good about hiding that, but it's there. Just look for it. Now, if you have not yet tried my free Access Level 1 course, check it out now. It covers all the basics of Microsoft Access, including building forms, queries, reports, tables, all that stuff. It's over 4 hours long. You can find it on my website or my YouTube channel. I'll include a link below you can click on. And did I mention it's completely free? And if you like level 1, level 2 is just $1. That's it. And it's free for members of my YouTube channel at any level. Speaking of memberships, if you're interested in joining my channel, you get all kinds of awesome perks. Silver members get access to all of my extended cut TechHelp videos, and there's hundreds of them by now. They also get one free beginner class each month, and yes, those are from my full courses. Gold members get the previous perks plus access to download all of the sample databases that I build in my TechHelp videos. Plus you get access to my code vault where I keep tons of different functions and all kinds of source code that I use. And gold members get one free expert class every month after completing the beginner series. Platinum members get all of the previous perks, plus they get all of my beginner courses, all of them from every subject. And you get one free advanced or developer class every month after finishing the expert series. And you can become a diamond sponsor and have your name listed on the sponsor page on my website. So that's it. Once again, my name is Richard Rost. Thank you for watching this video brought to you by AccessLearningZone.com. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something today. Live long and prosper, my friends. I'll see you next time.